To answer your question, yes, we are two adult women. And yes, we love Bieber, and that's why we're publicly stalking him.
We're crazy.
Hey! Maybe he's what America needs. One nation under beams. We're gonna be two less lonely girls. We're gonna be two less lonely girls. We love Justin Bieber, and let us be clear, we're not being ironic at all.
Hosted by Corinne Fisher and Rosebud Baker.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Two Less Lonely Girls. I'm Corinne Fisher. Rosebud, you heard from earlier this week. We were on different coasts, so we decided to record with special guests instead of solo. You heard Rosie with Cypher Sounds, and serendipitously, they started talking about Beyoncé and Jay-Z along with Bieber, which is perfect, and that leads me into today's episode with the one and only Krystyna Hutchinson.
Hey.
Welcome. You know her from the Guys We Fucked podcast. If you don't know her from the Guys We Fucked podcast, I also work with her on the Guys We Fucked podcast.
Yeah, get on it.
I know there's some believers, there's some fuckers that listen to this, so that's what's happening. And Krystyna Hutchinson is the Beyoncé expert in my life. On this show, we do like to talk to fanatics, people who know a lot about aspects and people in pop culture. And so I definitely wanted to have Krystyna on to talk about Beyoncé, because she even has a Beyoncé tattoo.
I do.
And it's not just like Beyoncé,
It says WWBD, written in the handwriting of Nadine Strossen, the first female president of the American Civil Liberties Union. And it's in blue ink for Blue Ivy. And it means...
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, it means, what would Beyoncé do?
Amazing. I love it.
How you volume? Is it good?
I was like, can you pull it up a little? I might just be deaf from...
From all
life,
the trauma?
From life, yes.
Is that good?
Yeah. So there's so much to talk about with Beyoncé, and we like to deep dive on this podcast about specific things. And I asked Krystyna what she thought the best aspect to dive into was, and it was her brand. So this is going to be a brand of Beyoncé episode. I know Krystyna and I are comedy partners, if you guys don't know that, and you definitely bring up Beyoncé a lot when we are creating shows or looking at product to like to make merch.
When we moved to Luminary, I had Beyonce in mind.
Because of title?
Well, not because of title, but just because of the way she conducts her business. When she doesn't release a lot of her albums immediately on the streaming services because she wants you to buy them. And just shit like that, where I'm like, okay. And then it's like, if you love this artist enough, then you'll buy the album.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, is there anything specific besides just having like a long love and trust that she does to encourage people to buy stuff in a world where so much is given away for free?
I think Beyonce does not give a lot of her personal self to the world, which I really appreciate and respect. And I think when she, like, I'm signed up for all of her e-blasts. I'm in the Beehive shit, where you can get like early access to her tickets for her concerts. But I think whenever I get an email from either Ivy Park or her website, I always read it. It's always succinct. It's never, I like the language. I like the way she talks to her fans, and she appreciates them. And I just trust her. God, I trust her so much. And I also I don't get caught up, because you had asked me about the conspiracy theories earlier. I don't even like to get caught up in her personal life, to be honest.
So you don't even know that much about?
I don't really know a lot about the conspiracy theories. I just know she's in the Illuminati. I'm like, okay, cool.
Right.
Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I don't give a fuck. But I say a lot of times that Beyonce is my Jesus, and because I see people who are like Jesus fanatics, they kind of just, I don't know. There's not a lot of info on Jesus. There's like a little bit of info on Jesus.
Like, they kind of blindly follow.
Exactly. And I blindly follow her, but I don't blindly follow her, but I don't.
One eye open.
Yeah, well, especially right now, because one of them's oozing. Guys, I have chlamydia in my eye, probably. When she fired her dad, Matthew Knowles, in 2003, I believe it was, she did so because it was reported that there were suspicions on him stealing money from her.
So common, unfortunate, yeah.
And her company did an audit on Beyonce and found that he did in fact take money. Matthew was like, oh no, we're parting ways mutually. I just want to focus more on the gospel music. But like that's got to be a heartbreaking fucking thing to endure.
Yeah.
And she just handles all of that shit with grace. I've never seen her freak out. The elevator incident,
Right.
with Solange and Jay-Z in the elevator where Solange like punched Jay-Z in the face or something. I that was the only time we ever saw anything in Beyonce's life that was like kind of like ooh like
not
juicy.
perfect almost. Yeah,
exactly. But in that incident, in the footage, in the elevator, and when they came out, Beyonce was cool as a goddamn cucumber. And I'm like, man, she is not letting anybody into what's happening in her personal life, and I really like that.
Was it ever kind of revealed? Like, I know obviously like they were saying Jay-Z was cheating, but then I was Googling a lot of articles that kind of were arguing against him cheating, and then obviously Lemonade. Yeah, she talks about, but I never know what is real and what is kind of like a Sasha Fierce character.
Right. So an ex of mine worked for Jay-Z. Okay. And said that he straight up saw proof that Jay-Z was fucking other people. And when he told me that, I'm like, okay, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be like, but no one fucks with Beyonce. It's her fucking life. She'll deal with it the way she wants to deal with it. And the way she dealt with it was Lemonade, one of the best albums of all time. So maybe that's happening, but also in the back of my head, if I think about it and try to analyze it, I'm like, this chick is probably getting dick on the side too.
And I was like, was there a part of you? Because for me, I'm like, if I feel like so many famous people. I mean, don't know anyone nearly as famous as Beyonce, but people who travel and have like really big careers separately, a lot of times have arrangements.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm like, it's probably an arrangement.
Yeah.
I don't know if Beyonce, because she doesn't reveal a lot of her personal self in her work, but I don't know if she would even want dick on the side. But I feel like
who would even be worthy?
I know, but also is Jay-Z even worthy? I don't know. I like Jay-Z.
I think Jay-Z I like him a lot. I mean, not aesthetically, he's not worthy, but most men aren't.
Yeah, I know. So
for the women that they're with,
it's a Seth Rogen, Katherine Heigl duo all over. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I was kind of looking, and there seems to be different stages. So the first thing I found as one of the first like kind of Beyonce companies is the now defunct House of Darien.
House of Darien, I think. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know how to say it. It's DERE with a thing over it, ON, which was a ready-to-wear fashion line that she did with her mom, Tina.
Yes.
Her mom stylist.
Yes, her mom did all of her costumes.
Right, and like she was sewing for Destiny's Child for many years, so she was making everyone's costumes.
And I think when they did Star Search, she made all the costumes. That wasn't Destiny's Child, but I think Kelly was in that.
Do you know anything? Because I know it kind of was like a ready to wear fashion line.
I don't know much about House of Darien. I remember hearing about it, but I know that when she launched Parkwood Entertainment, everything she did, producing movies, being in movies, appearances, albums, was under that. And Ivy Park launched under Parkwood Entertainment in 2013, I believe. Yeah, so I think I don't know about House of Darien, but I do love Ivy Park. Holy shit.
Yeah, it just because I was like, House of Darien, it says it was just introduced on the Oprah Winfrey Show, perfect, and it was also featured on Tyra Banks, and it mixed hip hop influences with denim, which I mean that really speaks to what people were wearing when they were in Destiny's Child.
Oh yeah,
like just like a little piece of denim. Okay, amazing. Great. And then I'm going back. And then, okay, so then getting into Ivy Park. I didn't even realize this because I guess I'm just not cool. But Ivy Park is a partnership with Adidas.
Yeah. And also I heard that it was taking over. What the fuck was Jay-Z's clothing line? Like it was basically kind of like replacing that, even though they didn't. I don't think they bought Jay-Z's clothing line. But yeah, I knew that because Ivy Park is a lot of loungewear. They do have dresses and like really nice shirts. I love Ivy Park because it's an example of everything Beyonce does. She pays attention to detail. Whether she's leading that charge or not, she certainly has a team who's been told by her that it's very important. The cuts on all the Ivy Park shit are gorgeous. They're very unique.
Yeah.
The fabric's really good. The quality's really good. I pretty much, whenever Ivy Park sends an e-blast, I buy most of the shit because it's really unique stuff. It's kind of expensive.
What's a price point for like a
$60
shirt?
for a sweatshirt?
Oh, that's better than Victoria Beckham's. Jesus Christ.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, hers was like $200. I mean, like it was like $100 for a sports bra or something fucking insane, because that was her partnership with Reebok.
Oh, okay.
Jay-Z's old clothing line. Do you mean Rockaware? Is that
Rockaware? Yeah. It's like it seemed like it was kind of replaced it because Rockaware went away and then Ivy Park came out. But I know Ivy Park was under the umbrella of her LLC.
Is there an email from the behalf that an example that you could read to us? I'm just curious to see how she talks to people. I think that is so interesting because, I mean, Victoria Beckham, for instance, I'm just using her because that is like my Beyonce. She has a clothing line, and every day sends out an email, and I do pretty much open it every day just to see like the piece of clothing. But again, like her stuff is so freaking expensive. I mean, I only own one piece from it that I got in London. And does Beyonce ever speak about like financial status, or like with the way Russell Brand kind of speaks to like the everyday person, or is that not part of her?
The only thing she talked about, as I was just rewatching one of the clips on her from a documentary early on. Let me see what it's called. It's Year of 4. She talks about really wanting to be an example of a woman. She said a woman at the time, but I know especially right now is with her Beachella shit, and she's like a black woman, right? Can own her own clothing company, can own her own production company, can do like she wanted to own a record label, own every and so that was something that she talked about wanting to be at the forefront of, just being an example of, yes, you can do this. And she's just big on that. She doesn't talk about it much, which again, that's why I fucking love her.
I know she's so rarely interviewed, which I mean that obviously goes along with the mystique, and I think that's like kind of like a semi-comparable artist like a Lady Gaga. I think where Lady Gaga made the mistake is like we just got too much Gaga.
Yeah, she was too accessible.
Yeah.
And there is like our agent has told us about like meet and greets after our show as a small example of being too accessible. And I right away I thought of Beyonce because I'm like, man, she doesn't do any of that shit. Honestly, she performed at a Bali wedding and she must have gotten paid a bank, and this was I think within the last year,
just for like a private person,
rich
person,
like probably one of the richest people ever, because I don't know who the fuck can afford Beyonce to perform at their wedding, but that was the only thing I've heard of her doing, going, oh really? Like it didn't cheapen her for me at all, but I was kind of shocked she did it.
I think almost all celebrities will do that for a certain price. Do you have any idea how much she got paid?
No idea.
Right.
But like, also the fact that she was asked she was the first black woman to headline Coachella. So she did two things out of that. She got paid $6 million to perform for those, for the weekend, or it was 2 weekends, I believe. And then she turned it into a documentary, and she turned it into a fucking album. I mean, it's just like her business savviness is unparalleled.
Yeah, instead of doing one thing, I'm going to do 3 things.
And she does credit Jay-Z a lot with teaching her about business, because when they met, I think she was 16 when they met, 16 or 17, and then they weren't public about them dating until she was 18, because get out of my business.
How much older is he?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know they were the like one of the first like couples to be like this like multi-million.
They were, though, in 2013 they were named pop music's first billionaire couple.
I was like they've hit billion. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. And then I went on Investopedia, which I never really go to. It's just kind of like tells you, obviously, like the Wikipedia of businesses.
12 years difference is their age difference. That's not too bad.
No, that's not crazy.
Just when you're 16, it's
of course.
Oh, who's this guy?
Yeah. They were first billionaire couple in 2013. In 2014, Beyonce and Jay-Z grossed $109.6 million from their joint On the Run tour. Their follow-up, the On the Run tour 2, grossed $253.3 million in 2018.
And I've never been disappointed by any move Beyonce makes. Every show I've ever been to of hers, every appearance she does, every musical performance she does at an award show or at the Super Bowl, she fucking gives a shit so hard and makes sure that I've never seen somebody be that good live ever in my life, but I also haven't seen a lot of live music, but it is to an insane amount. And I'm like, you are what humanity is capable of if they really just put their all into it. And on top of all that, I just can't believe how graceful and smiley she is. Whenever you see her getting photographed by the paparazzi or on a red carpet, she's just a graceful, gentle, happy woman.
Yeah,
and
it feels like just
shy.
like keep it under, like just like I have everything under control.
Yeah,
which I think is a very interesting way to present as a woman, because I think women usually do have it under control, but sometimes present as if we don't, either on social media
or hot mess. The fucking
in business situations, it's a lot of like kind of like, even the act of like yelling or raising your voice, unfortunately, is perceived differently when it comes from a woman than from a man.
Oh yeah, it's not regarded as passion. It's regarded as you're crazy.
Yeah,
or
you're a maniac.
You're a mess.
You're a bitch. You're controlling. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I listed out all these other things because I think these are just her achievements. She's the only female artist to have all of her studio albums debut at number 1. She's the longest stay at the top of the Billboard 100 for a female, with both Baby Boy and Crazy in Love, which stayed on the charts for 17 weeks. Her song Irreplaceable is the only song ever to top 12 Billboard charts at the same time.
Holy crap.
Song Beautiful Liar holds the record for the biggest jump in Billboard history, going from 94 to number 3. She's the most nominated female for a Grammy. 46 nominations. That was as of 2018. She's the only female to win 2 Legend Awards at the World Music Awards. She's the first out of 2 females to receive the International Artist Award of Excellence, with only 6 others receiving this award in history. In 2011, she was named the Artist of the Millennium. And she is the 3rd most awarded artist in all of history, with 451 awards, only behind Michael Jackson and Whitney.
Wow.
I mean, that bitch is... she must have a team, the best team working for her, because I don't know how the fuck. The one thing I would like to learn about her personal life is how she talks to herself in her head when she's just conducting all of these business things. Because I've heard her say time and time again about how she's always thinking of the next tour, the next music video, the next single, what is my next project,
right?
And it just, in a way that does not seem to overwhelm her.
Yeah.
And man,
I always because she speaks publicly so rarely, even I, as just like a, I would say I'm like an average level Beyonce consumer.
Yeah.
I purchase Lemonade, etc., but I'm not like on the cutting edge of everything that she's doing. Like, I'm not there first, but like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy like your music.
Yeah.
And I always watch an interview when anything pops up with her, because it is so rare that she speaks. So then when you speak out so rarely, I'm like, oh, this must be important. I'm curious as to what you're saying.
Yes, and that is a fucking brilliant strategy. I love that she does that. I think because anybody listen to have that hold on a person who consumes her on an average level like you, I think that is I don't know any other artist that does that.
Yeah, and it's also like, how do you even navigate that, because like Jay-Z talks out a lot more frequently and publicly than Beyonce, or
yeah, like when he did the Letterman interview, but also Jay-Z, when he gets interviewed, he's a fucking great interview. He gets deep and he gets very real and emotional and vulnerable in his interviews. Like the David Letterman interview was fascinating, where he talked about the cheating. So I mean, he did cheat.
Well, again, like even this is like, I'm so deep into like these constructs of Hollywood that I would not put it past. And this is not just Beyonce and Jay-Z. Goes for like, this has happened, I'm sure, like many times, like that it was a curated story of cheating so that she had the ability to tackle cheating as an artist, as a woman, as a Black woman.
And that might be it too.
Because that's so powerful. It's like, because it's like, I feel like we are in this age of like, people only want to hear you talk about real shit that happened. Yeah. So if this is something that she felt passionately about, it's like you almost have to like fake, even like with, Kardashian's much lower like grade level as far as like quality, but a lot of that's why I don't really believe a lot of the things that happen in their
like
family.
Kylie's friend, fucking Chloe's,
Jordan, Jordan Woods,
perfect for your little narrative.
Well, that's what I said, and I mean, like if it's funny because if you look at the timelines, like these things really do, the scandals in quotes always do go along with like a release of something. Yeah. And it seems to slip by the public.
Yeah. My one thing is like, if a scandal does happen, well, what are you going to do? You're going to make art about it. Like that immediate reaction, we're both artists, so I certainly feel that way. But even if that was the case, if Jay-Z never cheated on her and she just wanted to tackle cheating, and even if it was revealed that was 100% the instance, I'm like, all right, cool. That's fucking brilliant.
And I don't think it ever would be, because I think it's like fucking so, it's locked tight.
Yeah, and Lemonade was such a good fucking album that I'm like, wow, this bitch can make amazing, vulnerable thoughts into lyrics by something she didn't even fucking experience. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, I don't understand, because it's like she does put so much more into her videos, into her music, into just like her production value. And then you look at some other artists, and they just don't seem to have like the same, like their stuff is not curated in the same manner. And I'm just like, why not? It's
I think it's because I think one thing Beyonce has, and this is something I want so bad, and you have this too, is like I can handle all of this stuff. I am capable of really paying attention to every detail, even though I've rehearsed this tour number for 12 hours today and I'm pregnant with twins and I fucking like, she just never, I don't know if she's ever had a panic attack in her fucking life. Like I get so overwhelmed by having 5 things on my to-do list. And the last time I had 5 things on my to-do list was years ago. So that's why I always kind of try and channel her, because she, the Beachella, the documentary that Netflix did on her Coachella performance, it was really interesting to see her early days of rehearsal after she just had the twins. She was still breastfeeding her twins. She was chubbier, she was heavier because she fucking, gave birth to twins. And then and I was watching that footage and I'm like, how are you not losing your temper, or how are you not feeling like you're being spread too thin? And I don't know I know she's very religious, so I don't know if that's something that keeps her grounded, but goddamn, I think that is like, if I think of, oh shit, I have to do that too, or, think of other things I have to put on my to-do list for the day, for example, I'm like, oh, and I just get so overwhelmed, and there's no reason to be, because it can all get done, and then if it doesn't, then do more tomorrow. Like, I just think she has a very chill outlook on just tackling her workload.
Sorry, I 100% agree, because like I Google a lot on this. I realize you're not used to me like Googling on Guys We Fuck, but I'm like, I always Google along with Two Less Lonely Girls. So when you just mentioned that about like, I don't know how she stays calm, she has a team, that just reminded me of the book The 48 Laws of Power, which I know for a fact Jay-Z has talked about a lot.
I gotta read that.
It's a lot to get through. I've tried to read the whole thing a million times.
You know what? I think an ex of mine told me about that book.
Yeah, so it's a red book, and I mean, I gotta say, I've seen it in the bedrooms of like the most terrible people I've fucked, but so whatever. But I own
it. Makes sense where I heard it from.
I own it too, and but because I've heard a lot of celebrities have read it, and the most famous celebrity that and someone who, it's funny because even being not like a huge Jay-Z fan, I recognize his talent for business and putting things together, and so when I heard that Jay-Z had read that and based a lot of his success in business plans off the 48 Laws of Power, I did pick up the book years ago, and I read enough of it, and like one of the things that it talks about, and I do think of this often, and in part why, kind of like we have finally like an associate producer for Guys We Fuck this year, it's that really successful people don't do the work themselves. They find people to do the work for them.
Yep.
And they're amazingly good at overseeing and delegating, which is so hard for me. And I know hard for you
good
too.
at delegating.
Because I remind myself of this, and it's so hard to delegate because, I wouldn't say I'm a control freak, but I do recognize that when I do something myself, it's done better.
Yeah.
And I know you recognize the same thing as well. So it's really hard for me to delegate, but I always remind myself of this piece because I find myself getting exhausted a lot.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to be able to hone in on an artistic project, like since, especially when we are working as the talent, there's different places you can take in the process. But like when we are working in front of the camera or as the talent, like you really want to be able to immerse yourself in that and have the ability to do a really talked about, inspiring, unique performance the way Beyoncé gives. And I think the calmness and collectiveness is probably something learned through Jay-Z via the 48 Laws of Power, in that like we will have the best team around us and people will do a good job because historically Beyoncé is successful and well revered and like all those things. And I think but it's so hard because it's a catch-22, because it's like, to prove yourself you need success and you probably need a team to help you, but to get a team to help you that you trust that is amazing, you also need to have a proven history of success,
which you need to cultivate by yourself, and only you. But also too, she's been performing since she was a little girl, so I think that that kind of gave her a handle on like, I can do this, like I am capable in terms of talent. Like it's like her belief in herself is so steadfast that's a solid spine to work from.
And especially, I think, just, the talent of singing, number one, is a little bit easier to recognize because kind of anyone, an average person can recognize talent in singing. Yeah. Because it's just like, we have ears. We have ears. Whereas with, something like comedy, for an example, it's a little bit more up to, like it's the talent lies in your sense of humor, which could be different. No one's like, I like when people sing flat. Like,
for sure. And she's a talent. She's an incredibly talented talented singer
And gorgeous.
and beautiful body of a goddamn goddess, and her dancing is incredible. She'll pick I think it was something about the Lemonade Tour. One of the dance moves, she was on YouTube and she saw these men who lived in Africa who posted this video of them doing dance moves that are reminiscent of the ones that she does in the Lemonade Tour. She saw them on YouTube. She flew them out to America to teach her this choreography. Like she just picks from the best fucking people on the goddamn planet for all this stuff. And that's just another example too of her attention to detail. And she does credit Jay-Z a lot with teaching her business how to function in business. He's the first artist when he created Tidal. He's the first artist to create a streaming service.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk a little bit because I'm so, especially with our move to Luminary, I'm particularly interested in Tidal. I was reading up a little bit on it. I kind of only knew just like the very basics about it. It was formed in 2015. And it's a subscription-based music streaming service that was started from the Norway-based Aspiro Group, also known as Aspiro AB, for $56 million. What?
That sounds kind of cheap.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, that doesn't sound like that much money. First artist owned one, and it offers songs and music videos as well as exclusive curated content. Like what kind of, when they say curated content, what is that? 'Cause I'm not a subscriber.
Tidal does have some of the best, if you want to play a radio station, if you say, you put on Jay-Z and you were like, I just want to do Jay-Z radio, it will introduce you to artists that you want to hear that you've never heard of.
Gotcha.
It's the only streaming service, in my opinion, that does such a good job with that. Their playlists are amazing. Spotify has really good playlists, but it's nothing like Tidal. Tidal's algorithm is better, and I think that might be because it comes from an artist's standpoint.
Yeah, because it says it features high fidelity, lossless audio quality. I'm like, I don't even actually know what that means.
I don't know what that. I have no idea what that means.
And then other Tidal artist co-owners include Beyonce, Rihanna, Kanye West, Nicki Minaj, Chris Martin, Alicia Keys, and Madonna. And this is a great fact. In its first year, Tidal's U.S. subscription base grew from 540,000 to 2.5 million, and that was all Beyonce.
Yeah. Because I think it was Lemonade was only on Tidal for,
right,
because only listen to Lemonade on Tidal. I'm like, good move.
Yeah, because it didn't piss me off. I get it. I guess I had to join it for a second to get it.
She eventually released it on iTunes.
Because I was like, I bought it somewhere.
I think maybe for the first 2 weeks it was only on Tidal.
Right.
But if you're a Beyonce fanatic, you're going to fucking download Tidal.
Right.
And that's why, like when we moved over to Luminary, I was like, people are going to get pissed.
Sure.
But at the same time, like if you really want to listen to us, then you can listen to us. Unless you live in Sweden.
Right.
But, for now.
And then it also said the high fidelity audio requires special headphones to hear it. Do you have special headphones?
No.
Because that's kind of amazing. I kind of love that. I love when it's something that like, it feels a little bit like secret society.
Oh, yeah. I mean, which I think Jay-Z has really cultivated that brand.
I mean, it goes along with that kind of Illuminati thing without any of that. It's just like a fun part of it, not the bad part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's it. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to kind of talk about is like the phases that Beyonce has gone through, because kind of all the artists that stay with us for a long time reinvent themselves. Madonna famously does it. Lady Gaga does it. But there was an article in the Huffington Post that kind of spoke to the way Beyonce does it in a much more nuanced manner. Yeah, which I certainly agree with, because I'm a huge Gaga fan, but girl goes too hard.
Yeah, and she tries too hard.
Girl goes, like they kind of call it as like thirsty or desperate,
which I think is so easy to fall into. I think it's actually harder to not try hard because
if you care,
because you really have to curate every little tiny move. But her, like, after her first world tour, she talks a lot about her mother was like, Beyonce, you need to see the world and like take a break. So she did take a little bit of a break after the first world tour.
And how old around was she at that time?
It was in 2013, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's not too long ago.
I gotta get my notes. Her first debut album, Dangerously in Love, debuted in 2003. So maybe it was 2004 that she did this, but because I'm pretty sure she went on tour immediately after. But like that was like the biggest break she's taken, and because she like never lived her fucking life. Sorry, my eye is oozing.
No,
sorry, you have to look at this.
I feel bad. It looks so painful.
It hurts. But yeah, she's given. I have such a trust fall in terms of a consumer and fan of hers with everything she does. And I'm not even like when people were anticipating the On the Run 2 tour and I didn't know she was going to make an album out of Beachella, but even Lemonade, like people were anticipating it. I'm just like, whatever Beyonce is going to do, I know it's going to be great. And I'm not going to be like anxious about it.
You just like sit back and trust.
Yeah. And usually when people are fans of people, like hardcore fans, there's this like kind of anxiety wrapped around that. And I never felt that with her because she has such a grace and ease with her transitions and coming out with things, and she has such a great track record of surprising people. Like the fact that Lemonade came with the whole fucking set of music videos you could buy,
I liked that a lot. I thought that was really cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't put a lot of pressure on Beyonce as a fan of hers in my head because I know whatever the fuck she's gonna do, it's gonna be the best move for her.
And do you think if she like put out like an album where you like didn't like the music, just hypothetically, that you would like recognize it, or is the brand so strong that you would just be like, I like it anyway?
No, Beyonce is not impenetrable in terms of bad quality at all to me. That's why I'm like, maybe she fucks, maybe she's a bitch, maybe she, I don't care.
You just enjoy her for what she is and what you get of her.
For what she puts out into the world. I enjoy her for the example that she sets for women. I think it's amazing that the example she sets for black women, that's fucking incredible to have Beyonce as like leading the charge. She's one of the greatest artists of all time. And I think I just trust her, and I don't really want to know. I mean, I'd obviously want to meet her one day, but I'm not into the juicy shit about her. And
There really is not a ton, honestly,
because she controls it like that.
But yeah, and it's like she's elevated herself even in the world of celebrity to a new level. Yeah, there are so few. I mean, even Madonna, you can read things. Has Beyonce's never written a book, right?
No.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Jesus, she has. I'm a really bad fan.
Well,
God, my eye is oozing.
She's gone through, I mean, they basically kind of like ran through in the Huffington Post article, just like the phases of Beyonce. So first was like good Christian girl when she's a middle-class woman from Texas. Well, they say middle class, but I'm like, wasn't
her
she
childhood home was pretty nice.
I was like, I would say upper middle class.
Yeah,
right?
I would think, but that's because the middle class has since shrunk. So maybe she was middle class at the time. But we went to her childhood home and it was
because I was like, I'm middle class, and I'm like, I grew up in a house a lot less nice than Beyonce's.
Yeah.
So good Christian girl, kind of like that's her Beyonce, her Destiny's Child phase, and then but as or even like when she was younger, maybe performing.
When she was doing gospel.
Yeah. Performing gospel. And then kind of like that kind of sank into the Destiny's Child girl power. But it was girl power, like, but less brash than like the Spice Girls, like in your face, kind of, hello.
But then she got in your face. As her albums came out, she got more in your face. Like the fucking... that one lyric in Don't Hurt Yourself when she was like, who the... and even in Lemonade where she's like... I scratched out her name. Picture frame. Fuck, what's the lyric? What is it about you? Bitch, I scratched out your name in your face. I don't know. She just gets cunty in her lyrics sometimes, and I really like that. Like she allows herself to release her emotions in her lyrics.
Yeah, because I was like, then the next phase they talk about is like the hip hop, like basically like she had to get hip hop street cred.
Yeah,
which is kind of like when she was married Jay-Z, and that was an important part of the brand, of their relationship, of the power that they got when they were together. And then just like, just looking at the entertainment business, there is so much that happens when you gain the respect of the hip hop community.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing too that I thought was interesting, just speaking of like setting an example for black women specifically, the first thing she did that was that was a more of an obvious, well-seen statement of like, hey, black people don't get treated right in this country, especially black women, was when she did the last Super Bowl performance.
Right.
And it was so interesting to me how people piled onto her, just news outlets and everybody, about how this shouldn't be about race. It's like she rarely talks about race in that big of a way.
Whatever the fuck she wants it to.
But and it was about her, like her thing was about race. And then Beachella was an all black fraternity, like she had the symbols of the, so I'm
she's
like,
an artist, yeah.
Let her, the fact that she wasn't loudly speaking about this until that recently, like let the bitch say a message.
Yeah.
But one thing, as a white woman who is a fan of Beyonce, and she has a shitload of white women fans.
Yeah, that's for sure.
She never makes when she says like she really presses the girl power notion a lot, and I think Beachella was the first time where she had voiceovers and stuff during her performance where she was like, black women in this country get treated like shit, and I thought that was amazing. And it's but the way that she slowly started putting that message into her work, I thought was really interesting, and I'm pretty sure was very particular and carefully planned out, because if she alienates, you know, her white fans, I'm sure she doesn't want to do that, but she does a good job in saying, like, black women get treated like shit in this country, but hey, I love all my fans, and also girl power. I don't know, she the marriage of all of the messaging that she puts out is really, I feel like there's a lot of tactics behind that, and I respect.
And it's also like at a time, I think, in this society when we can, when white women are like more comfortable hearing that message. It's more a part of like the conversation that we're having. Because like after
women are uncomfortable with everything.
Because like after hip hop, it was just like they were just like, then they kind of like added on like the gay following with the Sasha Fierce, with the I Am Sasha Fierce, which if anyone knows, if you want to survive in pop, especially as like a female icon, like you gotta get the gay on board, following. Baby. Yeah, and then because like they said, the I Am Sasha Fierce album was all about coordinating the gays, and then gay men ate out of her hands. Then she became a critic's darling by the late 2000s, and then exactly floats into exactly what you say. By that time, when she wanted to make these political statements, it just kind of like middle-aged white men weren't part of her demographic.
Yeah,
and so she
fuck them.
So it's like she was able to make this statement without alienating anyone, because everyone would already agree. And then she is so high and so highly revered that she can use that platform to do what she wants to do. It's a tactic we even see regular politicians using, like a Hillary Clinton. It's like she was always for gay rights, but you can't loudly say that.
Oh yeah, Obama was against gay marriage when he got elected.
Exactly.
Like, he really wasn't.
Publicly, you gotta say that so you can get into a position where you can help people. Because people always bring these things back. It's like, why weren't you talking about this before? It's like, well, I'm playing this strategically, so I can get to a place where I can really make a difference.
Yeah, and by the time her Coachella performance happened, and then by the time the documentary and the album came out, she pushed like black women power, the hardest I've ever seen her push it. And I think that's so amazing, because she has built her career up until this point where she fucking has one of the largest platforms in the history of anything. And so that's so amazing that she waited to take the time to push that message until she had the biggest platform. I think it's fucking incredible.
It's career planning.
I didn't notice any pushback from like asshole people about her performance.
I think the only one who's ever like really written a real nasty article was like Pierce Morgan. Apparently wrote something, but Pierce Morgan's a fucking
he hates women, he hates non-white people, he hates non-British people.
I mean, he just has a lot of time on his hands. I mean, like Pierce Morgan would literally respond to either of us if we tweeted him right now 100%. Because he's always available.
Pierce Morgan, you need to be less accessible.
All right. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk about us about the brand of Beyonce.
Thank you for having me.
I love it. I think there's so much to be learned about celebrity, and I know I take celebrity very seriously, but because the celebrities that we know and love the most really do affect our society and pop culture in a way that people, I don't think, digest properly on an everyday basis. Like it's such a part of who we are in American culture, at least.
It's part of our identity. Beyonce is certainly part of my identity.
Like I really feel like if Beyonce, like if we wanted to, like if you know, like if she wanted to make us all come together and like attack someone, she could do it. But I mean, she wouldn't. But I think that's the level of her power. Yeah, if she has more power than Donald Trump, I think definitely.
If she ever spoke out against an artist or somebody who did her
they'd
wrong,
be done. Yeah. And the Beehive too.
Like I remember when we went to Canada and Tommy was with you and I was there, and there was like a poster with Ryan Reynolds, and I was like, Ryan Reynolds, and you're both like, ugh, no, she left Atlantis heartbroken, and I'm like, okay, because I forgot about that, but I'm like, that's how I feel about if somebody were to fuck her over like that.
Oh, for sure. And you are not alone. You are not alone. If you even tweet anything about Beyonce, like the Beehive comes after you.
Yeah, it's weird though. That's the other thing I wanted to say. When people don't like Beyonce and they speak out against her, I love her so much. I used to not be like this, but if you don't like Beyonce, I don't give a shit. That's your problem. That's your problem to deal with. You go home and you deal with it. If you want to, you never deal with it. I don't care. Like, because I know for a fact that she's one of the greatest living artists of all time that will ever exist. That I feel, and I'm a very defensive person.
Yeah.
But like, I don't even feel the need to. Like, people come up to me and tell me they don't like Beyonce, or like.
What's the point of doing that?
Because they're trying to stoke my anger.
Oh.
And I remember like the other day, Colin was like, "I like Rihanna better than Beyonce. I think she's more talented." I'm like, "Hey, cool.
Right.
I don't care."
Yeah. Yeah, and because I was like my problem a lot of times is like similar to the Beatles. It's just like it's sometimes the fans I don't like, and I have to separate that. I'm just like most times it's the fans that I have an issue with. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's very strange. But yeah, that's like that's a whole different thing. Oh, we should do an episode on fans ruining good artists.
Yeah,
Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of because I'm so bothered by people.
They build the brand, but they also tear it down.
Yeah. It's strange. Anyway, all right. So if you guys want to follow Krystyna on social media, she is at Krystyna Hutch.
Krystyna Hutch, Krystyna Hutch.
And if you are not familiar, Krystyna and I also co-host the very wonderful Guys We Fucked podcast, which just moved exclusively to Luminary. You can sign up for 3 months free by going to luminary.link. Is that a backslash or a front
slash GWF
forward slash GWF?
Yes.
And we talk about lots of things: girl power, feminism, sexual assault, but funny stuff too.
Yeah,
so,
like butt stuff.
It's light, but not as light as this one. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Justin Bieber is making that natural deodorant. We're gonna keep following, see what he's up to, watch that music video. Me and Rosabeth will talk about the Ed Sheeran Justin Bieber music video next week, because boy oh boy, that was a green screen travesty. I know some of you liked it, but ouchies. You can follow me on social media at Philanthropy Gal. This comes out every Monday. Rate, subscribe, review, YouTube, etc. Thanks, Mike Coscarelli. Bye.